Hi guys, this is Vietchkovsky Tarot with me, Vietchkovsky, and today we are doing a pick a card reading on your message for the full moon, for the new moon in Gemini. Now, Gemini new moons are a really good time for communicating, releasing, and obviously manifesting through communication, as Gemini is all about communication. So I will leave my cards on the screen for you for about 10 seconds, and then I will put the timings in the description below. Whilst you're in the description below, if you'd like to check out any of my links, I've got my Facebook, Instagram, and a Patreon if you would like to become a Patreon for only £5 a month for daily readings. So please go and check those out. Otherwise else, all the timings will be in the description, and I will allow you to meditate on a card that is calling to you. Okay, so if you are here, then we are looking at the clear quartz, and we have got 5 cards representing 5 different questions. So we've got our first card representing where you are right now, and we have got the 5 of Cups. Our next question is what is blocking you from moving forward, and we've got the Queen of Swords. We then are looking at what intentions do you need to set to move forward. We have got the Hierophant reversed. What knowledge do you need to gain in order to set these intentions? We've got Temperance. And finally, what positive energy is going to come from this next lunar cycle? Okay, so immediately looking at these 2 cards in particular, we'll start with the 5 of Cups representing where you are right now, and I feel like there is something that is keeping you stuck in the past at the moment. There is something that you are struggling to move on from your past, and it's something that's taken quite a toll on both your emotional and your mental well-being, and it feels like you're holding on to almost the bad parts of it at the moment. You're holding on to the parts of what happened in your past that has affected you mentally and emotionally, rather than trying to move forward with the good and the growth that came from this experience. So currently it feels like you are stuck in something that's happened to your past, something that's happened to you in your past that you can't quite shake just yet. The Queen of Swords as what is blocking you, again, we have this indication of this idea that you are stuck in the past. There's something about a mental well-being, a mental toll being taken on you with this thing that is stuck in the past. And it feels as though this is more to do with a connection with someone. This is to do with some kind of relationship that you've had with someone in both maybe a platonic or a romantic way. But there's this idea that perhaps what is preventing you from looking forward is maybe keeping yourself locked away and keeping yourself away from people and focusing on this past rather than actually opening yourself up to people ahead of you and people in front of you. So for what intentions you need to set for the new moon in Gemini, I feel that the Hierophant reversed is literally expressing this blockage in coming forward as a sort of a dominant presence to those around you. And I feel, as we said here with the Queen of Swords, with having your heart and your mind sort of locked up and stuck in the past, the Hierophant as your intention is to unblock this feeling and to actually turn yourself around. And instead of shutting yourself away, you need to present yourself to people who come before you. And obviously it's better, of course, to present yourself to people who have good intentions, people who can actually aid your growth, and people who actually can keep you grounded. So I feel what your intention should be is to find this grounding and to find this sense of presence that you already have, and actually learn to manifest it, and actually learn to become this bigger presence in the present, as opposed to being stuck in the past with the Queen of Swords. So the knowledge that you should gain to aid this manifesting and to aid these intentions, we've got Temperance, which again she presents herself as a very forward, a very open, a very well protected. Obviously, if you don't want to get hurt, obviously it's good to stay protected, it's good to stay grounded. But she's a very prominent character. She's a very heavy presence to those around her and to those she presents herself to. So she is very focused, she is very intense, but in a good way. And I feel like this is something that you need to embrace, this real fixation on what is happening right now, and really feeding the thoughts of yourself and feeding the thoughts of others around you that you are there and that you are present and that you are here for the time. That is what is happening around you. So the positive energy that will come from this lunar cycle, if this is all taken into guidance, is this real state of grounding, which I feel is what the reading altogether is insinuating, that there isn't this feeling of grounding, there isn't this feeling of wanting to be in the present. There's this fixation on the past because of what's happened. So I feel the positive energy that will come is actually finding your state of being and actually finding a sense of home in its own way, somewhere that you're comfortable, somewhere that you feel protected, somewhere that you can protect, and somewhere where you don't have to push yourself and stress yourself to grow, where you will naturally just find yourself growing, and your state of mind will find so much more clarity in this state of being. And it's pretty much just insinuating this idea of turning yourself around. And obviously, as you can see a little bit with the state of the cards, we've got these two cards that we started with facing this way, and we've got these three cards facing forward. It's all about being present, this reading. So your new moon in Gemini is going to be about finding your groundings and finding your state of presence and finding what you are doing and what you have that keeps you in the present. And maybe it is a group of friends, maybe it is people who you feel a state of comfort with, and you feel that you can open up to, because I feel like that is something that was affected in your past that you aren't quite ready to let go of just yet. So I hope this reading has given you some guidance. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the reading or if it resonated with you, please let me know in the comments or leave this video a thumbs up, and I will be back next week for another pick a card reading. Okay, so if you made it to this part of the reading, we are on the bullet shell. That was potentially card number 2. I don't know how people look at these things, but we're doing 5 cards for 5 different, representing 5 different questions. And we start with the King of Swords, representing where you are right now. The 5 of Swords, representing what is blocking you from moving forward. We have Death, representing what intentions should you set in order to grow. The 2 of Cups reversed to represent what knowledge do you need to move to set these intentions. And finally, we have got the High Priestess as positive energy for what is going to come of this lunar cycle. So immediately, just looking at this reading, there is a lot of give and take energy. There is a lot of circular energy in this idea of what energy you put out is the energy that you take back. And I feel like this has been a little bit of a dangerous, there's a little bit of a dangerous cycle. If you've picked this reading, perhaps you found yourself in a little bit of a dangerous cycle. As a general overview of this reading, I've already been through this once, but then it sort of just hit me with a completely different idea. So I feel like this reading is suggesting that you have a relationship that is preventing you from almost achieving your true self. And I can explain this as we go. I feel like the King of Swords is not actually representing you here. I feel as though the King of Swords is representing someone in your life, a previous partner perhaps, or a partner that is still kind of hanging around. And I feel like they have still quite a dominant hold on your life right now. They still have quite a dominant presence in your life right now, which is preventing you from overall unlocking this High Priestess card, but we will get to her later. The Five of Swords, for what is preventing you from moving forward, I feel that this person has betrayed you. This person has let you down in the past, but they're very confident in their words, and they're very confident in their mind that they can easily get their own way. So I feel like they're the reason that you can't move forward. They're the reason that you are being held back, because they're the ones that are being overbearing, and they're the ones that aren't allowing you to see your future, or to see ahead of you. So ultimately, death, I feel, as hard as it may be, and as hard as it will definitely take its toll on you, death is suggesting this idea of releasing, if we link it all the way back, releasing this person, or releasing this feeling of betrayal, because perhaps it is something that can be worked through, perhaps it is something that can be spoken about. Obviously, with the new moon in Gemini being about communication, perhaps it is something that can be worked through, but it will require you to actually release this emotion and release this thought and this almost mental prison, I guess, of keeping this betrayal or this thing that has let you down in your mind. Which then moves us on to the Two of Cups, as what information, and I feel I'm going to stick with this because, as I said in my first sort of reading through this, that the Two of Cups is suggesting for the knowledge to gain, to set this intention, is to really focus on your emotions, to focus on how you're actually feeling when you think about someone, and how you're actually feeling when you're talking about someone, and how you're actually feeling when you're with that person, and just actually paying attention to what your heart is saying rather than what you're actually thinking or think you're thinking about them. There's just this idea of actually having this focus on who you're with and how they're making you feel. And if they're not making you feel good, then it's time to release them. And if they are making you feel good, then it's time to create a stronger bond with them. But you need to actually be honest about your opinions and your emotions. So ultimately, I feel that the High Priestess is who you can be. I feel the High Priestess is who you can release and who can emerge from this lunar cycle. But it will require you to learn about yourself and to take time to get to know yourself, so then you can further get to know your emotions, so then you can learn to release what is keeping you in the past, or who is keeping you in the past. As I said in the beginning, there is a lot of circular energy in this reading. There is a lot of a vicious cycle in this reading that does need to be ended, and I feel like it may end at some point with the High Priestess saying no to this person who is holding her back, and she needs to learn more about herself and how she can make herself grow and help herself grow. So that was my reading for the bullet shell. I hope it gave you some kind of guidance. If it resonates with you, please let me know in the comments, because that would be really interesting to find out. And I do apologise for the sporadic energy in this particular reading. I finished it and then suddenly it came at me with a story. So I thought I would share that. But thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. Okay, so if you made it to this part of the video, we are now on the blue stone. And we are doing 5 cards representing 5 different questions. So we have got the 8 of Pentacles representing where you are right now. The 9 of Pentacles reversed representing what is blocking you from moving forward. We have the Star representing what intentions do you need to set in order to grow. The Page of Wands representing what knowledge do you need to gain in order to aid this growth, and the Hermit as what positive energy will emerge from this next lunar cycle. I feel immediately that this reading is suggesting that perhaps something that you might struggle with personally is finding your own sense of identity and finding your own sense of self. We have the 8 of Pentacles starting with where you are right now, and I feel like this card is sort of suggesting this idea that you are very easy and quick to adopt on what others are telling you, and perhaps this might be adopting their behavior, this might be adopting their actions, this might be adopting their opinions, but there's just this idea that you could be quite easily led and quite easily influenced by someone that you idolize, someone that you look up to, someone that you wish to be. There's this idea that you wish to be like someone, so you will sort of adopt their nature. What is preventing you from moving forward? We have got the 9 of Pentacles reversed, and obviously the 9 of Pentacles reversed, I feel really links with the Star card, with this idea that you're perhaps not actually looking at what you already have and what you already are. There's this idea that you aren't actually aware, you aren't actually looking at what you already have and who you already are. You're maybe even too nervous to actually embrace this part of yourself. Maybe you're too nervous to have this confidence in yourself. So I feel what is actually preventing you from moving forward is having your eyes not focused on where you've actually come from, where you've actually been, who makes you you, essentially. So the intentions that you can set, we have got the Star, which really implies this idea of finding a sense of grounding and finding your groundings in where you are and focusing on your connectivity and focusing on the goals that you set and the dreams that you have, and actually making them your personality and actually making them become a stronger and more confident version of yourself, I feel. And I feel like the Page of Wands here is actually implying this idea of the knowledge that you can gain to set these intentions is by actually ignoring or removing this uncertainty that you have of being yourself. In a way, removing this sort of hesitation that you have to be yourself because you don't have the confidence, or you don't feel you have the confidence, when you actually do have a lot going for you, but you don't quite see it just yet. And perhaps it's because you base your worth, maybe it's because you base your worth on things that don't actually have value to you. I feel like maybe the reflection you feel you have on others depends on sort of what you're doing rather than who you are, in a way. So I feel like the Page of Wands is sort of implying this idea that you're hesitant to move forward with what you actually want to be working on because you feel it's going to reflect poorly on you. But the good news is that the Hermit comes as the positive energy that will emerge from this lunar cycle, and the Hermit is all about self-knowledge and lighting your own way. So I feel like you're actually going to find yourself less reliant on what others think of you and less reliant on their opinion, that you're actually going to find your inner strength to see your own way through and to see your own way through the darkness and light your own path, essentially, with who you actually are as a person. And obviously it takes a lot of work to go inwards, and it takes a lot of time and patience to have with yourself to find this knowledge of self, but it is worth it in the end. So perhaps something that you can work on for the next lunar period, something that you can work on tonight for the new moon, is actually looking at your sense of self and which parts of yourself are being created to please others and which parts of yourself are being created to please you in its own way. So that was my reading for the Bluestone. I hope it gave you some guidance. If it resonated with you, please let me know in the comments and leave this video a thumbs up. It is greatly appreciated, and thank you for watching. Okay, so if you made it here, we are on the Black Stone, which is very small, so I'll hold it up. And we are doing 5 different cards representing 5 different questions. So we start with the 6 of Cups representing where you are now. We have the Fool representing what is preventing you from moving forward. The Empress representing what intentions to set to help you grow. The Devil representing what knowledge to gain to help these intentions. And finally, the 9 of Wands reversed as what positive energy will emerge from this lunar cycle. Okay, so it's very interesting that we've got a lot of attention on this Devil card here. Now, I love the Devil card, but we'll get to that later. So we have the 6 of Cups here representing where you are now, and this cup, I feel, suggests this idea that you have just pulled yourself out of quite a difficult period at the moment. You've pulled yourself out of quite a rough patch at the moment, and you're looking to replenish yourself, and you've got a lot of things from the past that you're carrying with you, but you're not seeing them as a weight on your shoulders. You're sort of looking back on them in a happier way. They're a light weight on your shoulders as opposed to something that is dragging you down, but the presence of them is still there. So it is interesting that we have the Fool coming up as what is preventing you from moving forward, and I feel like this does tie in quite nicely with the 6 of Cups card, with this idea that you've pulled yourself out of the dark. You've pulled yourself through this rough patch, but you don't actually know where you're going now. You don't actually know which direction you're sort of taking. You're kind of just going with the flow of things. And I guess so the idea of what's blocking you from moving on is not actually having a sense of direction at the moment. Not actually having something to focus your energy on anymore, because you've spent so much of your emotional energy on getting out of this dark period. So it feels as though the Empress turning up as what intentions can you set? I feel like there's this idea to me that you do want to sort of, in a phrase, get back in the game. I feel like the Fool is sort of looking towards the Empress with, you have this character in mind. You want to be this confident, seductive person again. You want to be this very expressive person again. You want to be quite free and have a fresh start, essentially. Sort of give yourself this release from what you've just been through and release yourself from it and give yourself a fresher start. But you just don't quite know what to grasp just yet in order to get there. So I feel like this is an intention that is achievable, and the knowledge that you will need to gain in order to achieve this. We have got the Devil, and I love the Devil card. I love the creative and passionate energy that comes from the Devil card. So I feel like the knowledge that you need to gain is actually what sparks a fire in you, what commitment spark a fire in you, and what are you sort of actually willing to get yourself involved in to achieve this Empress character. So it's sort of about this idea of having this real, honest, raw perception of yourself and being open about it and actually finding this drive that you have to become this Empress character that we just discussed. And the positive energy that will emerge from this lunar cycle, I feel like ultimately there's going to be a lot more of creative energy in you. There's going to be a lot more passionate energy in you. And not only that, but I feel like this is going to be quite a good distraction for you almost. This is going to give you some form of direction. This is going to give you some form of focus, which is what we discussed at the beginning with the Fool. So even if it may seem as something small, or it may seem as something that is a big deal to you, it doesn't matter. It's going to give you a focus, and it's going to give you something to just put your mind on at the moment, to almost reward yourself for pulling yourself out of this dark situation and pulling yourself out of this rough period. And even if it doesn't last forever, even if it lasts for a very short period, however long, it is something that is keeping you occupied at the moment, and it is something that may even benefit you, or you may actually only see the benefits of it when you're sort of ready to move on to the next thing. So that was my reading for the Blackstone. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, and I will be back again for another reading in a week. Okay, so we are now on the green gem, and if you picked the green gem, this is the reading for you. We are doing 5 different cards representing 5 different questions. We have the 10 of Wands representing where you are right now. The 7 of Wands representing what is blocking you from moving forward. The 4 of Wands for what intentions you can set to help you grow. The Emperor reversed for what knowledge do you need to gain to help these intentions, and the Knight of Swords as a positive outcome for this, or positive energy that will emerge for this lunar cycle. Okay, just straight up, we have a lot of fire in this reading. We have got Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, and Aries. So if you are a fire sign, please let me know if this is the reading that you picked, because that would be very interesting if this is the one that is calling to you. So immediately with this reading, I feel like it is implying that perhaps you might have lost your drive a little bit. I feel like there's this confidence issue coming from this reading, and perhaps you might feel as though you don't have perhaps the control that you once had. Obviously, I'm being influenced by these 3 cards here when I say this. So we look at the 10 of Wands reverse as where you are now, and I feel as though this card is actually suggesting that you might be feeling a little bit less connected with what once gave you this feeling of release. It feels as though this card is actually suggesting that you don't quite know what you can do to build up again and then release again, if that makes sense. I feel like there's this idea here that you still have this want to be creative, and you still have this want to be in control, and this want to be connected again, but you just don't actually know what you can do to sort of fix this side of yourself up again. Obviously, I don't know how well you can see, but there is a broken egg in this card, which implies, I feel, almost representing your sense of perhaps identity, or perhaps your creative spark. You don't quite know how to fix it back together again, if we get into the Humpty Dumpty rhyme of it all. So then we have the 7 of Wands representing what is holding you back. And I feel like it's this idea of you're not surrounded by projects anymore. You're not surrounded by maybe even people who have the same creative streak. You're not surrounded by them anymore. You're not surrounded by people you can collaborate with. You're just sort of maybe on your own, or you feel like you're on your own at the moment. You can't find people who give you this drive to create and give you this drive to put plans into action, and who can work with you. You can't seem to find those people, or you can't seem to find it within yourself to do it for yourself at the moment. So we then have the 4 of Wands as what intentions you can set, and I feel like it's this card, because we've digressed, we've gone from a 10 to a 7 to a 4. I feel the 4 of Wands is implying that your focus should be on almost starting from the beginning and finding this balance that you once had and the stability that you once had from being creative, and almost sparking the feeling that being creative gave you from the beginning, and why you fell in love with doing what you're doing, and why you actually enjoy this creative side of yourself, even if you feel like you've let it go recently, or you've not quite connected with it in a way that you once had before. And I feel like with this, you can actually start building a foundation again. You can actually start working on it, so you can get back to the 10 of Wands and you can actually work your way up again. It's just a case of giving yourself a chance to start from the beginning. So what knowledge do you need to gain in order to help set these intentions? We have got the Emperor reverse, and I feel like the Emperor reverse in this particular reading isn't suggesting that you aren't the Emperor. I just feel like the Emperor within you is blocked at the moment. As I said at the beginning, we have so much fire energy, and I feel like these 3 cards in particular have just blocked the Emperor's energy from emerging from you. So I feel like the knowledge that you can gain is just getting back to grips with yourself and getting back to grips with the wisdom and the understanding that you already have about these creative aspects and about what gives you this creative and passionate drive, and actually allowing him to make himself present again, as we were saying with the 4 of Wands, by starting this foundation, starting slow, starting with what you already know and what you already love, and then building on that rather than already trying to be with the 10 of Wands. So finally, the positive energy that will emerge from this is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords, I feel, is a really, really strong card to sort of be finishing this reading on, with this idea that by taking this guidance, by starting again, by building the foundations, you can actually charge yourself forward with the drive, with the passion, with this headstrong ability for growth, and not be concerned about any obstacles, and not be worried about any obstacles, not immediately putting yourself back because of obstacles. I feel like this card is suggesting that your Emperor is achievable. You just need to actually push yourself. You need to actually take the dive and charge forward, essentially. So I feel like with the guidance that has come from this reading, I feel like the Knight of Swords is going to emerge from this lunar cycle, and you are actually going to start seeing the Emperor side of yourself come back. So I hope this has given you some guidance. I hope this has given you some insight or something to think about. If it resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed the reading. If you did, give it a like and give it a thumbs up, and follow all my links in the description below.